strong east wind. For years, explorers have searched for evidence of the miracle of the parting of the sea.
Director Tim Mahoney searched the globe for the world's leading archaeologists from Egypt, the Sinai, and Saudi Arabia. He also interviewed scientists specializing in DNA archaeology, bone analysis, coral analysis, and geography, uncovering startling new evidences of the Exodus that are reshaping our understanding of these ancient events. The filming of this investigation lasted 7 years and involved Dr. Leonard Moeller, a DNA research scientist who investigated the biblical accounts with a uniquely scientific approach. For Dr. Moeller, it began in 1995 when he joined others to investigate the claims of the Exodus, looking for physical evidence on the bottom of the Red Sea. They were searching for chariot wheels encrusted in coral.
The hypothesis is that the biblical text from the book of Exodus is a true historical document. And this text contains clear clues concerning the route of Exodus, which has led us to this location at the Red Sea.
Egyptian army, overturning chariots, drowning all the horses and soldiers.
Archaeologists, what can you dig up which is going to prove the Exodus? What would you have to find in order to prove the Exodus?
This is the Cairo Museum, home to some of the most famous mummies ever. Here is the man who confronted Moses. The Bible records that at the time of their arrival, one Israelite rose to the highest levels of Egyptian power. His name was Joseph, son of Yaakov, Jacob in English, and he became so powerful that he wore on his finger the seal of royal authority. Professor Manfred Bitak found no less than 9 seals worn by Joseph's court officials. Inscribed right on them is the Hebrew name Yaakov, Joseph's father.
It's very strange that we found 9 seals with the name Jacob here. It's a biblical name, by the way. The original was probably mounted on a ring worn on the finger, and this gives us a new puzzle.
To support our new biblical timeline, we needed to find alphabetic inscriptions carved by slaves some 3,500 years ago. In our wildest dreams, they would also mention the biblical god, El. And sure enough, there are slave inscriptions here, and one of them records a 3,500-year-old cry. El, save me. This is the writing of a slave who worked in this mine. You can still see the chisel marks, which were part of the forced labor that the author of this inscription was involved in. And he wrote his cry to God, saying, "Help me, don't forget me." Incredibly, there is an Egyptian papyrus that tells the exact same story. It's called the Ipuwer Papyrus.
סופרים, היסטוריונים מצרים, כתבו מאמרים בנושא הזה שלקחו בני ישראל מהמצרים לפני יציאתם לסיני. והסופרים ההיסטוריונים האלה אמרו שאנחנו רוצים פיצוי, ויש אסמכתה לזה, כי זה מעוגן בתורה שבני ישראל הלוו תכשיטי זהב מהמצרים כדי לחגוג ולהחזיר אותם, אבל לא החזירו. אז הגיע הזמן, עכשיו אנחנו הולכים לקראת שלום, לבקש את הפיצויים, כן? והם מסתמכים על מה שכתוב בתורה. זה היה בשנת 78, בעיצומו של המשא ומתן על השלום. כי לפני זה אסור היה לקבל כסף מישראל, היא אויב. כתבו בעיתונים מאמרים לעומק בנושא הזה, עם מסמכתאות ומספרים. כמה זהב בערך, מכמה אנשים לקחו, ומה שווי הזהב היום, ועשו חשבון של 16 מיליארד דולר. זה היה דבר פיקנטי, אז העיתונות הישראלית ציטטה את זה. הצטרכנו לענות להם בכל ישראל בשידורים בשפה הערבית. הם תבעו קרוב ל-16 מיליארד דולר ריבית, כי באסלאם אסור לשלם ריבית. הם ויתרו לנו על הריבית. ואז אנחנו ענינו להם, בסדר, זה כתוב בתורה, אבל כתוב גם, וזה מעוגן אצלכם, שבני ישראל עבדו כעבדים, ואז בואו נעשה כמה מגיע לנו בעד העבדות הזאת, או העבודה הזאת. עד היום אנשים מזכירים את הדבר הזה. איך כל ישראל בערבית מנהל את העניינים ונכנס לדו-שיח עם העולם הערבי.
No one has ever been allowed to film at Avaris. To get there, we needed the cooperation of the Egyptian authorities.
The more we investigate, the more we discover that the biblical stories regarding Exodus are reliable.
Devastation wrought by the 10 plagues. Pharaoh relented and freed the Hebrews. As the Hebrews began the exodus out of Egypt, the Bible says that Pharaoh changed his mind and chased after them.
This proves scientifically that the large number of chariots described in historical texts are actually true and cannot be dismissed as impossible.
Allowed the abomination of the gods, the immigrants, to depart, the earth swallowed their footsteps. This was the directive of the primeval water, who came one day unexpectedly.
Shows that the story of Moses and the Exodus can no longer be dismissed as the figment of a scribe's imagination. But this leaves one final question. How did the Bible get so many of its facts right? Explain why the archaeological record matches so well the biblical accounts. The bondage of the Hebrews, Moses' upbringing in Pharaoh's palace, the 10 plagues of Egypt, the parting of the Red Sea, and the 10 commandments. The Bible remains the foundation of faith for 2/3 of the world's population. The modern age is also rediscovering it as a tool for understanding.
Let's put all the data together on the table, and then let's hash it out and see what the most likely scenario is, and let the viewer decide.
It was just exciting to see those divers with their films and showing the chariot wheels and the chariots down underneath the water. It was fantastic.
I thought I knew a lot about the subject, but I learned so much.
The facts, the scientific approach is riveting.
This movie is going to rewrite the history books. It'll rewrite the conventional wisdom of what we think about how the Exodus occurred.